divine souls. Today is going to be the conclusion of this series on the Path of Bhakti. The last few days I've been explaining to you the most important part of Bhakti, which is taking time out to meditate on God every day. While we meditate, we should remember that we should not ask God for any worldly thing, nor should we ask Him for liberation. We should only desire His selfless divine love, His divine vision, and the chance to associate with Him personally in the divine world. When we do this meditation, it is not just our emotional effort which produces the result. It is the fact that through this effort we are opening up our mind to receive God's grace, which He's only too eager to give to us. But we have to join our mind with Him through faithfully remembering His form and receive that grace that purifies our mind and gives us an experience of devotional happiness, which is a glimpse of what the actual unlimited divine happiness is like. So when we meditate on Shri Krishna, there is no restriction on how you have to imagine Him. Imagine any form of Shri Krishna with any decorations, any height, any age, any leela of Shri Krishna, whatever attracts your mind. You have total freedom. In order to do this, in the beginning, we certainly need to have a place where we will not be disturbed. So we need to find a place, a quiet place in our house, or come to the mandir where we all do it together. Along with that, you'll want to sit in an alert but comfortable position. This is all review of what I explained in the last few days. You don't have to adopt any position in particular, but you should be comfortable and at the same time alert so that your mind doesn't get lazy or just fall asleep. There is no particular time of the day that is required or not allowed to do this kind of meditation. So you can do it at whatever time is convenient to you. So the time and place and form is totally up to you. The only thing that's required by us is our effort to form that image of Shri Krishna in our mind with faith that this is real Shri Krishna in front of us. Through this process, we really do purify our mind because Shri Krishna is divine. With His will, His grace is received in our heart when we meditate on Him in this way. So it's His power that gives the effect. We're merely opening ourselves up. It's a way of becoming surrendered to Him, doing this meditation. There's an example of a saint that illustrates the power of remembrance on Shri Krishna to purify the mind and ultimately result in His divine vision. This saint, before he became a saint, before he got the divine vision of Shri Krishna, he was a thief. And one day, as he was walking through this village, he heard a katha going on. A Panditji was describing about Shri Krishna. He was telling all about His form and His decorations. So he told the complexion is bluish, and he wears a silken shawl, saffron colored. And when he got to the ornaments that Shri Krishna wears, then this thief's ears perked up. He heard the description of this golden crown, which was embedded with diamonds and emeralds and rubies and sapphires. And large golden ear pendants also embedded with all of those jewels, many kinds of pearl necklaces and gold necklaces, a golden bejeweled flute, a golden waistband, bangles, anklets. The thief is thinking to himself, I don't know who this Krishna individual is, but it sounds like he's very foolish to be walking around in broad daylight wearing all of this. Now, he also learned from Panditji that Shri Krishna is always in Vrindavan. His divine abode descended here on the earth. So this thief decided, I'm going to take the time to go to Vrindavan and see if I don't bump into this Krishna. And if I do, well, if he's still foolish enough to be wearing all of this out in public, then I am crafty enough to relieve him of all these ornaments. But he had a long way to go to get to Vrindavan. This was hundreds of years ago when there were no other forms of conveyance other than walking or maybe riding a horse, but he had no horse, so he had to walk to Vrindavan. As he walked, what was he doing? He kept thinking about the description. Krishna's crown is like this, his ear pendants are like this, over and over. So what was he doing? He was doing Rup Dhyan, the form of meditation that you've been learning about for the last few days. He was meditating on the form of Shri Krishna. And unbeknownst to him, by doing that, he was purifying his heart. The more he walked, the more he kept thinking of Krishna, the more his heart purified. And when he got to Vrindavan, his heart was fully purified. And then guess who was waiting for him in person? Shri Krishna, with open arms, wearing all of his ornaments and jewelry. But now, of course, the thief was no longer so interested in stealing all of Shri Krishna's jewelry. He was just so happy to meet Shri Krishna in person. He got the divine vision of Shri Krishna. After that, he got the name Sham Chor. Chor means a thief. So he got Sham is the name of Krishna. So after that, that saint was known as Sham Chor, the one who tried to steal from Shri Krishna, but then the tables got turned on him. Shri Krishna ended up being the one who stole. He stole away his heart. He stole away all of his past karma, which were binding him. He cleaned that out. He stole away his Mayak bondage. He stole everything, and in return gave him everything that he had. In other words, unlimited divine bliss, divine knowledge, divine senses, divine mind. So the thief ended up having Shri Krishna steal everything that he had, and in return Shri Krishna gave him everything. So we can also practice this form of devotion, this internal form of devotion, known as Rup Dhyan, meditating on the form of Shri Krishna. Along with Rup Dhyan, it is very helpful to do Kirtan. Kirtan means singing God's name, like we do here every day. Is Kirtan compulsory to be done with meditation? No, it's not. In fact, if you have to choose between the two, you would choose meditation, because if you're just doing Kirtan, but not meditating on God, then the mere act of chanting God's name cannot result in God realization if your mind is not attached to God while you're chanting His name. It's just a verbal exercise. So the meditation, the Rup Dhyan, is more important than the Kirtan. However, the Kirtan is the most effective Bahiranga sadhana to enhance your Rup Dhyan. Bahiranga sadhana means external spiritual practice. Internal spiritual practice is the remembrance of God's form and leelas. External practice means something we do physically. So we chant physically. This kirtan is supposed to be the most effective external way of practicing devotion to enhance your meditation in this age of Kaliyug. In the Bhagavatam, it's written, Kaler doshanidhe rajan nastihyeko mahan gunah kirtanadev krishnasya mukta sangah param vrajet. Shukdev ji is telling Parikshit that although Kaliyug is known to be the repository of all the evils, all the negative qualities in people's minds are manifest in Kaliyug, yet Kaliyug has one great good quality. What is that? In Kaliyug, you can clean your heart of all of its material desires and attachments and attain Shri Krishna simply by chanting his name. This is only possible in Kaliyug. Krite yadhyayato vishnum tretayam yajato makhai dvapare paricharyayam kalau tadhari kirtanat. Shukdev ji goes on to say that in other yugas there are other practices recommended, keeping in mind that these are all bahiranga sadhanas. They are there to complement meditation. Smaran or chintan or rup dhyan, this remembrance of God in your mind, this is the essence of devotion in any yuga. But there are other external practices recommended depending on the yuga that we're in. So in Satyug, it says you don't really need anything to help you. In Satyug, the positive qualities are very prominent in people's minds. So you can just go to the jungle and meditate in peace. Just meditate on God. You don't need any external helping factor. Just sit and concentrate, meditate on Bhagwan. However, in Treta Yuga, there's another type of practice recommended. Doing Vedic rituals like yajna along with the meditation. Just like Tulsidas ji says, Krita yuga sab yogi vigyani kari hari dhyan tarahi bhav prani. In Satyug, in Krityug, you don't need anything, just go to the jungle and meditate. In Treta Yuga, Treta vividha yagya nar karahi prabhu hi samarpi karma bhav tarahi. In Dwapar Yuga, it is recommended to do puja along with your remembrance of Bhagwan to enhance your meditation. Dwapar kari raghupati pad puja nar bhav tariya upaya na duja Kaliyug keval Hari gun gaha gavat nar pavat bhav thaha. But in Kaliyug, only the chanting of God's names and virtues and leelas can take one across this ocean of Maya. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji said, Harair namaiva Harer namaiva 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 mama jivanam kalau nastyeva 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 gatiranyatha. He says, Shri Krishna's name is the life of my soul. In Kaliyug, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way to reach God but through his name. Kali nahi karma Na bhagati viveku Ram naam avalamban eku Kaliyug yog na yagya na jnana ek aadhar Ram gunagana. Tulsidas ji goes on to say that not through karma, not through bhakti viveku means through ritualistic formalities, religious formalities of worshipping God. Not through yoga, not through yajna, not through gyan. In Kaliyug, the only way to reach God is through His name. However, we must keep in mind that simple chanting of the name in a mechanical way, whether it be in kirtan or in doing jap, if we're just repeating it in a mechanical way without engaging our mind in remembering God, then that is not going to result in God realization. When Tulsidas ji says we must use the name in order to reach God, then when we take that name, it should be with faith and longing. Our desire should be that by chanting His name, He's going to come to us. We're calling Him to come to us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ji, who said there's no other way in Kaliyug other than through God's name to reach Him, he also says, Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishayitam Shunyayitam jagat sarvam Govinda virahena me. He says, how should you chant God's name? You should have intense longing in your heart to meet Shri Krishna while you chant His name. How intense should that longing be? Every moment without Him should feel like a yug. A yug is hundreds of thousands of years. Every second should feel like hundreds of thousands of years. You're in so much longing to meet Krishna. It draws it out. It makes it feel like every second without Him is so long. Like if you couldn't breathe, then every second feels like years for you. One time, a devotee went to his Guruji and said, Guruji, when will God come to me? Guruji didn't answer. Not right away. He answered later in his own way with a practical illustration. Later on, they were down at the river taking a bath, and Guruji called his disciple over to him. He was out in the water this deep. The disciple came over. Guruji grabbed his head and pushed him under the water. The disciple's thinking, okay, Guruji must have some plan. He wasn't fighting. Okay, he's holding me under the water, it's fine. But he kept holding him under, and he kept holding him under, and his breath was running out. So as his breath is running out, he thinks, well, he stopped thinking. He started fighting for his life. But Guruji had a good hold on him, and he kept him under the water until past the point where he thought, my breath is gone. If one more second elapses, I'm going to die. He still held him under. He thought, how am I still alive? And just then Guruji pulls him up and he takes a big full breath. Once he regained his composure, huffing and puffing, Guruji said to him, you know that feeling just before I let you up, when you thought you were going to die if you didn't get a breath this second? Yes, Guruji, I know that feeling. He said, when your longing for God is that intense as your longing was to get that breath, then God will come to you. So we ourselves can measure our own progress on the path. When we chant God's name, how light or heavy is our longing? Is it halka sa? we have a little feeling of longing for God, or is it a deep, intense longing? The more we do this devotion, the more this longing develops in our heart. But we should at least have in our mind that we're supposed to develop that longing. We shouldn't just chant the names carelessly, mechanically. We should at least feel some repentance in our heart. When we chant and we don't feel something, there should be a feeling of, I wish I felt something, or I know I'm supposed to feel something. We're supposed to cry tears. Mahaprabhuji says that tears should be flowing from your eyes like a river of tears, non-stop, because you're so deeply yearning for Shri Krishna to come to you. One time, a man was in Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji's satsang, and he heard Mahaprabhuji saying every day that you have to cry tears, not just chant the name. You have to meditate on Shri Krishna and cry for him to come to you. This is not just a mechanical repetition. Every day he chided the devotees in this way, admonished them. But this man felt, my heart is so impure, I'm taking God's name every day and I never get a single tear. My heart is like stone. Today I'm going to do something about it. He brought some mirchi, some hot pepper, in his pocket, and he rubbed his fingers on it, got some oil on it, and he put it like that. And the tears started flowing. Now, there was someone sitting next to him who saw this whole thing. He went to Mahaprabhuji and told on this man that, Mahaprabhuji, look at what a hypocrite this guy is. He's putting mirchi so it looks like he's crying. So Mahaprabhuji called the man. You know, there's a rule in devotion. Gopaniyam, gopaniyam, gopaniyam prayatnataha. We're supposed to keep our devotional feelings hidden from others so that we don't get a pride that, oh, I'm such a great devotee. Mahaprabhuji said I was supposed to cry, and look at my tears. Oh, everybody look at me. Look at how I cry. Then that's called Lokaranjan. We're trying to please the people around us. We're trying to gain their appreciation, which totally defaults our devotion. The devotion and the tears are a gift from Shri Krishna. It's His grace that we can even feel anything for Him. So we are not meant to take credit for that by showing it off to others. So that's why this man thought, let me go and tell to Mahaprabhuji. So Mahaprabhuji called the other man and said, what are you doing? Is this true? You're putting mirchi in your eyes? He says, Mahaprabhuji, it's true. I admit it. I'm so fed up with my stone-like heart that I had to do something to get tears. Mahaprabhuji then scolded the other man. He said, you see, this one has at least understood the importance of tears, and he's doing something, he's trying, he feels repentant for the fact that he can't have tears. And what are you doing? Instead of closing your eyes and meditating on Shri Krishna, you're looking at who's putting mirchi in his eyes or not? So he scolded the other man and complimented, praised the one who was longing to have real, actual tears. But this kirtan, if it's used in this way, it's a big help. Because when we try to meditate in silence, after a few minutes, our mind is likely to become bored or will become sleepy. This happens to everybody. Oh, it's so nice. I'm thinking of Shri Krishna. It's so relaxing. You're gone. But if you're chanting, you can be clapping, you can be singing out loud, and that keeps you awake. So you get more benefit of the devotion. And then many of the kirtan that you can use, which is written by saints, has descriptions also which help guide your meditation. Oh, Shri Krishna looks like this. His character is like this. These are his virtues, his qualities. These are his leelas. Oh, one day Krishna did this. You can have songs describing his leelas. So as you sing those songs, then it automatically becomes a meditation, as long as you put a little bit of effort into it. So the kirtan is considered to be the topmost external form of bhakti in Kaliyug. It is the only thing which is recommended to complement your meditation. Along with that, Mahaprabhuji tells us one more thing. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada hari. He says, we must be humble. We must develop humbleness in our heart. Namrata, it means instead of having a pride in who we are, in what great qualities we have, we should try to see the good qualities in other devotees of God. In fact, Mahaprabhuji says, Trinadapi sunichena, we should be as humble as a blade of grass. The grass on the lawn that you walk on doesn't grumble when you step on it. It always has its head bent like this, and then you step on top of it, and it gives you a nice soft cushion to walk on. So Mahaprabhuji says we should be as humble as that blade of grass. We should be as forbearing as a tree, which puts up with all kinds of offenses against it. People come and plunder its fruit, pick its flowers, break its branches. And the tree continues to provide shade equally to everybody. This is called sahanshilata. These are devotional qualities that we're supposed to try to develop. It doesn't mean that we have to be perfect in order to be a devotee of God. But we should realize that these are devotional qualities that we should at least be aware of, and we should try to develop them in our mind. Humbleness, sahanshilata, forbearance, forgiveness. Tulsidas ji says, Nindak niyare rakhiye angan kuti chhavaya. The one who likes to criticize you, like he's doing kirtan of all of your faults, you can say. Tulsidas ji says, build him a nice hut in the courtyard in front of your house, in your angan. Give him a nice thatched hut so he doesn't get too hot on a hot day. Bring him some water. Give him some food to eat so that he gets re-energized and he can keep going. Why? So he can keep going and you can practice smiling in the face of that. Practice smiling, practice being forbearing, practice being forgiving. These are all devotional qualities which we are supposed to develop. Then he says, remember Shri Krishna's name all the time, having thought about being humble and forgiving and forbearing. All of the faults of our mind, well, they're plentiful. All of us have plentiful faults up until we become God realized. So there's no, really, we don't need to spend any extra time concentrating on others' faults. That's called paradosha darshan. We have enough faults, right? If we look within ourselves, we can see, oh, I should improve on this thing. I treated this person badly. I need to try to fix this thing. We have enough to work on within ourselves. Then we add to that we have to notice everybody else's faults as well. Oh, this person's like this. This person should not do that. That person should be more like this. Where do we find time to do all of that? We have enough within ourselves to deal with. Plus, add to the fact that when we're concentrating on other people's faults, whether they be our kids' faults, our parents' faults, our friends, our relatives, whoever's faults they may be, when we're concentrating on those faults, what we're actually doing is meditating on them, which brings those faults into our mind. So we are imbibing the very thing that we despise in the other person. Ulta ho raha hai. We're making our own mental problems worse by focusing on other people's faults. So, when great saints like Kabir Das have admitted in writing, Mo samakon kutil khalakami, who could be more worldly, who could be more impure of mind and thoughts, who could be more cunning and crafty than me? Who is saying? A God-realized saint with a divine mind. The one who's reached the state of perfection is openly stating to everybody, I have all of these faults. And we who in fact actually do have all of these faults, if someone were to say to us that you're a very worldly person, you get angry very quickly, you're like this, you're like that, take one of those words that these saints are admitting to in writing. Mo samakon kutil. Kutil means crafty, cunning, not straightforward, not simple-hearted. Khal means evil-minded. Kami, desirous, worldly-minded, full of worldly desires. If someone called any of us even one of those names, what would our reaction be? So we're not prepared to admit that we have all of these qualities within us, and the ones who don't even have those bad qualities, they're admitting it freely and openly because saints are naturally humble. And we who have those qualities, we also lack that kind of humbleness that true saints have. So we find it very difficult to admit. This is why Tulsidas Ji says we should practice accepting that, admitting that. If someone points out a fault or criticizes us, we should thank them. Thank you for drawing this attention to my shortcoming. I will work on it. Even if it hurts to hear it, let's make the effort to have that kind of reaction. But these same faults can also be turned towards God. When I say we should look at our faults and try to reduce them, it doesn't mean that you have to meditate on your own faults either. That doesn't help. But you can divert those faults towards God. For example, let's say you have a lot of pride. So, Tulsidas Ji says, As abhiman jai jani bhore, Main sevak raghupati pati more. He says, have this abhiman, have this pride, that I am a servant of Shri Ram, and he is my pati, he is my protector. So what can this Maya do to me? This kind of pride is a good thing. You feel like, when Ram is mine, when Krishna is mine, and they are my protector, what do I have to worry for in this world? That kind of pride gives a devotee stability on the path. They don't get, ghabarate nahi, that, this bad thing happened to me, this thing might happen to me. They don't worry. They say, Krishna's got me. He's taken care of me. No problem. What about anger? Look at the example of Dashrath Ji. Ha Raghunandan prana pirite tumh binu jiyat bahut din bite. Dashrath Ji, the father of Shri Ram, is angry with himself. He says, you want to have anger? Okay, use the anger for a devotional purpose. What is his anger? He says, Ram has been away from me for so many days. He's gone to the jungle and I'm still alive. How have I not died in separation from Ram? He's angry at himself for not having enough love for Shri Ram. So when we feel anger, we can divert it towards God. When we feel abhiman, arrogance or pride, it happens to all of us. We can say, okay, I am feeling this now. I have this pride or I have this anger. Now let's divert it towards God. What should I have pride in? That God is protecting me. What should I be angry at? My own self for wasting time, for wasting this opportunity of this human birth that I've been given. What about desires? Desires take us more deeply into Maya and multiply our Mayic bondage. Yet desires are natural because we all want to be happy, so it's quite natural to desire happiness from what we see around us. So we develop worldly desires. What to do when those desires arise in the mind? Divert them also, because you only have 5 kinds of desires. Desire to see something that will make you happy, hear something that will make you happy, smell something, taste something, or touch something that will bring you happiness. And the same types of 5 experiences can be had in the divine world from Shri Krishna. So keep your 5 kinds of desires, just divert them towards Him. I want to see Shri Krishna. I want to smell the fragrance of Shri Krishna. I want to touch Shri Krishna. I want to hear Shri Krishna. Keep all of your desires, just divert them towards Him. In this way, if we practice meditation along with kirtan, and we try to turn our mind and desires and even faults towards God, then we can progress on this path. But remember, nothing comes easily in the beginning. When you start a brand new job, the first day you feel a little bit nervous because you have so many new things to learn. It seems difficult the first few days, but after a few weeks or months, those same things that you worried about, they become second nature for you. You do them without even thinking. Like now, if you've been driving for many years, you can have a car full of passengers. There could be multiple conversations going on. You're driving, listening to the conversations, taking part in 1 or 2 of them, watching your mirrors, watching for who might be coming out in front of your car. Maybe the phone rings and you pick that up too. And you're doing all of this while driving your car. But the first day you tried driving, you needed to have full concentration on what you were doing. But through a lot of practice, it became second nature to you. When we learned to walk, we fell down hundreds of times. We bruised ourselves. We got frustrated, but we never gave up. We forget how hard we had to work to learn to walk and then run. Now we do it without even thinking. We just think, oh, walking is something everybody does. One day we couldn't walk, though. We had to work hard to develop the muscles in our body and the balance to be able to walk. In the same way, we need a similar type of determination in order to progress on this path of bhakti. It doesn't mean the path is difficult, but it requires daily determination. We have to renew our determination every day to spend some time doing meditation and to try to remember God as much as possible throughout the day and dedicate all of our actions to Him. If we make such dedicated effort every day, we should see some results, right? Yes. Rup Goswami says, Chantiravyakta Chantiravyartha kalatvam viraktirmana shunyata asha bandha samutkantha Namagane sadaruchi. He says, if you're following this path of bhakti, then just like Bhagavatam says, bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya, You're doing bhakti. That's called sadhana bhakti. Eventually, that's going to fully purify your heart, and God will grace you with divine bhakti. Sadhana siddha rama padanehu. The divine love is one type of bhakti, and then the other type of bhakti is what we have to do. One is sadhana bhakti, one is siddha bhakti. Siddha bhakti means the divine power, and sadhana bhakti, the bhakti we have to do. So as we do that bhakti, we progress, our heart purifies, and we start seeing some landmarks which give us some indication about our progress. The first one, chanti. It means remaining calm even in disturbing situations. Like if you have a great loss in your life, that perhaps before you started following this path of Raganuga Bhakti, you would have been devastated by. But maybe you notice, oh, this was a great, irreparable loss, but I'm not that disturbed by it. What changed? That's your evidence of progress on the path of bhakti. That's because your heart has purified and God's grace has begun to impregnate your mind, so that your mind is more engrossed in the feeling of closeness with God and is more impervious to the disturbances of the world trying to enter into your mind. Avyartha kalatvam. Another symptom or indication of progress is that a person starts to feel like, I want to make use of all my time for devotion. He doesn't waste any time. He thinks this human body is the only chance I have to reach God, and it could be taken from me at any moment. Let me do more devotion. दो बातन को भूल मत जो चाहसी कल्याण नारायण एक मौत की दूजो श्री भगवान. A saint says that if you want to attain your divine goal of God realization, then always keep two things in mind. Number one, maut, your death. Meaning it could come at any time. And number two is Bhagwan. Think of death before Bhagwan. Why? Because if you don't think of death first, you won't take the time to think of Bhagwan. You'll say, I'll think of him later. Right now, let me do this, let me do that. Only when we feel a sense of urgency that this human life could end at any moment, then we think of God. So Kabir Das, one time, was trying to sleep outside, and some mosquitoes came and started pricking him and woke him out of his sleep. So Kabir Das thought, wow, even the mosquitoes around here are very benevolent. Why did he think they were benevolent? He said, Kabira suta kya kare जागो जपो मुरारी एक दिना है सोवना लंबे पाव पसारी. He says, someday soon I may be falling asleep for the last time, never to wake up. Death is coming. So these mosquitoes are saying, Jago, hey, wake up, Japo Murari. Remember Shri Krishna's name. Kabir Das says, yeah, that's better than sleeping. Now that they've awakened me, let me sing Krishna's name. So we have to feel this sense of urgency. If we do, then we'll take advantage of every moment. So avyartha kalatvam. This is an indication that we're progressing on the path when we start feeling this sense of urgency. Virakti. Virakti means not feeling so much attraction to worldly enjoyments. They still have some pull on the mind, but it's not with the same intensity that they used to be. Those things that we like in the world, at one point in our life, maybe we really couldn't live without them. We'd drive across the city to get this thing that I want. I have to have it now. And now we still feel an attraction to certain things, but it doesn't have the same hold over your mind that it used to. You notice that those worldly desires are decreasing. Where did they go? I didn't do anything to get rid of them. No, but you did. You did devotion to Shri Krishna, and the more he entered your mind, the more those desires left your mind. Manashunyata, a reduction or elimination of the need to have others appreciate us. Maine ye kiya. No, just do it. You don't have to tell anybody. Kripaluji Maharaj says, we spend most of our time trying to get others to believe that we're good. We don't spend that much effort in actually trying to be good. So mana shunyata means you let other people think what they want. You spend your energy in actually trying to become good. But you give full respect to others. Mana dena. Then asha bandha samutkantha. A confidence that you're going to meet Shri Krishna. He is yours. You have no one else, so where else can you go? He has to come to you. Why wouldn't he come to you? And you have an ardent desire to meet him. This grows, and you notice it grow, and you feel like, I didn't have that feeling before. That's a sign that you're progressing on the path. And namagane sadaruchi. When you sing God's name, sing about his leelas, meditate on his form and leelas, you feel like you're getting some ras, like it feels good, and you want more and more and more. Sada ruchihi, the ruchi, the interest or desire to sing God's name keeps growing. The more you do it, the more you want to do it. Whereas in the beginning, we sang God's name and we thought like, okay, I chanted his name for 30 minutes, bahut ho gaya. We just feel like that's enough. When you progress a little further on the path, sada ruchihi, you always want more. Whatever taste of the ras of that divine name you got, it's not enough. You want to chant it more and more. You did 8 hours chanting, it wasn't enough. My knees are hurting, I can't sit anymore, but I want to keep chanting his name. That's another sign that you start feeling some ras in the name when you chant it, and in the form and leelas when you meditate on them. In addition, Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji says, Nayanam galadashrudharaya vadanam gadgadruddhaya gira pulakair nichitam vapu kada tavanam grahane bhavishyati. You'll start to get internal feelings while you chant the names of God and while you meditate on his form and leelas. These feelings are called bhav, like a melting of the heart, a warmth in the heart, a thrill that spreads throughout your body. Tears may come. Trembling of the body may come due to those devotional emotions. They're called sattvic bhav. This is another sign. When the heart purifies, you start feeling these devotional emotions. It's not an imagined emotion, it's something that is experienced because you're receiving Krishna's grace by doing bhakti correctly. These are all things that you can look forward to or that you can just notice that tell you you're on the right path. So if you implement all of these conditions or characteristics of devotion that I've been describing for you over the last couple of weeks, then by practicing Raganuga Bhakti in this way, you should start seeing some of these landmarks on your way as you progress on the path. And then you yourself will begin to understand the significance of devotion to Radha Krishna in Kaliyug. That in Kaliyug, this way of devotion is the easiest and most potent path. As Shukdev ji said in the Bhagavatam, Tasmat sarvatmana rajan hari sarvatra sarvada Shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyo bhagavan nrinam. Hey Parikshit, just do these three forms of devotion. Smaran means the meditation part. Kirtan, chanting God's name. And Shravan, listen to the philosophy and listen to the Leelas. Just do those three forms of devotion. This is what Shukdev ji, Paramahansa, is saying. This is what Vedavyas has written. Out of all the forms of bhakti, these are the three most important forms. So we should adopt these forms and practice it every day. And we ourselves can see that even in Kaliyug, a soul who's living in the world, living in the family, can actually progress very easily. Easily doesn't mean without effort. It means smoothly. If you put the effort, you can make a lot of progress in one lifetime. You can reach God. You can get the divine vision of Shri Krishna in this lifetime. So by following this path, we purify our heart. When the heart is fully purified, Shri Krishna himself will come to us. And then he'll never leave. He will give us his unlimited divine bliss, divine love, divine knowledge, entrance to his divine abode, and forever we can enjoy the divine leelas with him in the divine abode. Sada pashyanti surayah tad vishnoh paramam padam. Ved says, once you attain him, it's forever. Iti vita shokaha. All of your material bondages and forms of suffering are finished forever, and you attain this divine state of God realization. So this is possible through following the path of Raganuga Bhakti. The rest is up to you. You'll have to implement what I've been explaining to you. This is why we're here, to help you, provide more resources. You can watch these speeches and Kripaluji Maharaj's speeches online or on television. You can read his books. You can keep coming in our satsang and practicing Raganuga Bhakti together. And in this way, we can all make the required effort to attain our divine goal in this lifetime. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai.